Just yesterday, I saw my coworker run out of a meeting. He was holding his stomach.
Oh no. What happened?
Well, it turns out he had just like chugged this huge glass of milk and, well, let's just say milk and his stomach, they just don't get along. It got me thinking, though, about food sensitivities. Have you ever had like a moment like that?
Oh yeah, definitely food sensitivities. They're actually surprisingly common. It's interesting because we often crave the things that our bodies just don't agree with.
Yeah, that's true.
Like a constant tug of war.
It really is. I remember reading a story in Slow English Story, and this person kept saying, this time it will be okay before drinking milk, and then every single time it backfired.
Oh no.
I've been guilty of that too, especially with ice cream. Oh, it's my weakness. Even though I know I'll probably regret it later, I can't help myself.
I think we've all been there at some point. But the good news is that Slow English Story also offered some really practical tips for handling these types of situations.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
What did they say?
Well, they talked about trying alternatives like oat milk or soy milk.
Right? Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, those are great options. Oat milk, for example, it doesn't contain lactose. That's
Oh,
the sugar in milk that many people have trouble digesting. So oat milk can be a gentler choice for sensitive stomachs.
that makes a lot of sense. I've noticed those alternatives becoming more and more popular these days.
Yeah, for sure.
They even suggested starting with small amounts of the food to see how your body reacts.
That's a really smart strategy. It's like dipping your toes in the water before jumping in the pool.
Right?
It allows you to gauge your tolerance without going overboard.
Totally.
Yeah.
They also mentioned taking medicines to help with digestion. I mean, it seems like people are really dedicated to enjoying the foods they love, even if it takes a little extra effort.
Absolutely. What's fascinating is that the way our bodies react to food, it can vary so much from person to person. It's not just about willpower or anything. There's actually a lot of complex science at play.
Really? Oh, I would love to hear more about that. What is going on in our bodies that causes these reactions?
Well, it all comes down to how our digestive systems break down and process different components of food.
Okay.
Like, for example, with lactose intolerance, some people lack an enzyme called lactase,
Uh-huh.
which is needed to digest lactose. So, without enough lactase, well, the lactose just ferments in the gut, and that leads to all those unpleasant symptoms we were just talking about.
Wow, so it's not just like a matter of having a sensitive stomach, like there's a real biological reason behind it.
Exactly.
That's so interesting.
And it's not just limited to lactose either.
Oh, really?
Food sensitivities can involve a whole range of substances and reactions.
Oh, wow.
For instance, some people experience reactions to gluten,
Okay.
which is a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye. Now, this is different from celiac disease,
Okay.
which is an autoimmune disorder, but gluten sensitivity can still cause a lot of digestive discomfort.
That's really helpful to know. So, are there different types of medicine for like different types of sensitivities? Slow English Story mentioned that, but they didn't really go into detail.
Yes, there are. For lactose intolerance, there are over-the-counter lactase enzyme supplements.
Okay.
Those can help people digest dairy products. For other sensitivities, medications might target symptom relief,
Okay.
like antidiarrheals or antacids.
Gotcha.
It really depends on the individual and the specific trigger.
It sounds like it's best to talk to like a doctor to figure out the best approach.
Absolutely. Self-treating can sometimes mask underlying issues, so it's always a good idea to seek professional advice if you're experiencing persistent problems.
For sure. For sure. It's funny you mentioned reactions to spicy food earlier. I have a friend who can handle the hottest peppers, without even breaking a sweat. And I, on the other hand, I get heartburn just thinking about them.
That's a perfect example of how individual tolerances can vary so wildly. When it comes to spicy food, the culprit is often a compound called capsaicin.
Capsaicin.
Yeah, and it triggers those heat receptors in our mouths, and it can also cause irritation in the digestive tract.
Interesting.
Yeah, so some people have built up a higher tolerance over time, while others are just more sensitive.
Slow English Story had another tip that I thought was really practical. Avoiding trigger foods before important events. It makes total sense, but it's something we often forget in the heat of the moment. Or maybe that's just me.
It's excellent advice. It's about being mindful and strategic. Like your coworker, probably wouldn't have had that issue if they had opted for something else before the meeting.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder to plan ahead and make choices that support our well-being, especially when we know we have sensitivities. But at the same time, we don't want to miss out on, like, the joy of enjoying food.
You're right. It's about finding that balance. And a big part of that is understanding our own bodies and what works best for us.
It's like we're all on this, like, lifelong quest
Yeah,
to decode our own personal food
I
manuals,
like that.
figuring out, like, what fuels us and what throws a wrench in the system.
That's a brilliant way to put it. And as we've explored these ideas today, I think it's clear that listening to our bodies is paramount. It's not just about avoiding discomfort, it's about honoring our individual needs and making choices that support our overall well being.
It's like treating ourselves with the same kindness and respect we'd offer like a close friend, paying
Exactly.
attention to what our bodies are telling us and responding with care.
Exactly. And this conversation has really got me thinking about something.
Oh, I always love when you get that thoughtful look in your eyes. What's bubbling up?
Well, I think this deep dive leaves us with a crucial question for our listeners to consider. How can we, as individuals and as a society, create a culture that celebrates both the pleasure of food and the importance of respecting our individual differences when it comes to food sensitivities?
That's such an important question. It's not just about individual choices, it's about fostering a sense of understanding and acceptance around different dietary needs and preferences. Maybe it starts with being more open about our own experiences like we've done today so we can all learn from each other and create a more inclusive food culture.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. Sharing our stories, swapping tips, and simply acknowledging that we're all navigating this complex world of food together can make a world of difference. And who knows, maybe some of our listeners have discovered brilliant strategies of their own for finding that sweet spot between indulgence and self-care.
I love that. We'd love to hear from you all. Share your tips, your triumphs, even your hilarious food-related mishaps. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together, learning, adapting, and saving the journey along the way.
And that's what makes these deep dives so rewarding. We get to explore these everyday topics, unravel the mysteries of our bodies, and hopefully leave our listeners with some food for thought, no pun intended.
Well said. So until next time, keep exploring, keep listening to those inner cues, and most importantly, keep finding joy in the wonderful and often wonderfully weird world of food. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into all sorts of fascinating topics. See you next time.
Thanks for joining the conversation here at Kaz English. We hope you found it fun and informative. Don't forget to check out kazapp.uk. That's kazapp.uk for more tips, resources, and interactive practice. Keep exploring, keep chatting, and we'll catch up with you again soon.